Elijah Freeman never raised his voice. He never fought back. At Kennedy Middle School, he was the invisible, only quiet kid with tired sneakers, sleeves too long on his hoodie, and a sketchbook he clutched like armor. At 13, Elijah had already mastered the art of survival through silence. He wasn't lonely, just unnoticed. He moved through the school like a shadow, avoiding confrontation, avoiding attention. Invisibility, after all, had kept him safe. But everything changed the day the school bully shoved him in front of everyone. And finally, everyone saw who Elijah really was. Most kids at Kennedy had their group basketball players, drama kids, gossip circles near vending machines. Elijah wasn't in any of them. He walked the halls alone, usually with his sketchbook pressed tight to his chest. Inside were lines and shades far beyond his years. Burning cities, cradled children, wolves howling into fractured skies. His drawing spoke louder than he ever did. Only once did a teacher call attention to it. Mr. Rosen, the art teacher, had held up Elijah's sketchbook for the class. "This," he said, "is raw talent." Elijah hated it. That same afternoon, someone poured water in his backpack. No one admitted it. Elijah said nothing. Home was different. The Freeman apartment, tucked in a creaky building in the northeast corner of Toledo, wasn't much bedrooms, floors that groaned when you walked. But it was home. His mother, Andrea, worked 2 jobs, hospital cafeteria during the day, cleaning offices downtown at night. She moved with the weary grace of someone who had too much on her plate but never dropped a single thing. And then there was Malcolm, Elijah's older brother by 5 years. A mechanic with stained hands and a silent strength that filled the room. Malcolm was the kind of brother who would tear the world apart to keep Elijah safe, and he almost did when he saw the bruises on Elijah's shoulder one evening. "You fall?" Malcolm asked. Elijah hesitated, then nodded. Malcolm narrowed his eyes. "You let someone put hands on you again, I'll show you something real." That night, Malcolm handed Elijah a frayed blue belt from his old jiu-jitsu days. "You're gonna learn now. I don't care if you never use it, but you're gonna know how to move." So in the middle of their tiny living room, with a pile of laundry shoved to the side and their mom yelling not to break anything, Elijah learned balance. He learned how to breathe when someone tried to knock him down. He learned how to stay standing. Back at school, nothing changed on the surface. Elijah still walked alone, still heard the occasional snicker behind his back. But something in his walk was different now. He moved like he knew something they didn't. Then came Miles, the 8th grade menace in a red hoodie and new Jordans. Miles didn't shout or chase kids down the hall. He was calculated, quiet, a viper that struck when no one else was looking. He targeted Elijah slowly, nicknames first, sketchbook, silent film, emo kid. Then came the shoulder bumps, the accidental spills, the trashed locker. Elijah said nothing. Miles hated that. One morning, Elijah found his homework torn to shreds and a moldy sandwich stuffed in his locker. A note read, "Lunch for the artist." He didn't cry, didn't flinch, just stared, cleaned it up, walked to class. At home, Malcolm saw the marks, the bent collar. "Say the word," he told Elijah. "I'll walk through those halls with you." "I got it," Elijah whispered. Malcolm didn't push. But that night, the drills got tougher. Elijah learned how to block from a standing grab, how to breathe through it, how to control. Then Friday came. Elijah sat at his usual lunch spot corner seat, tray untouched, sketchbook open. Miles dropped into the seat across from him. "You ever draw yourself crying? Bet that page would be fire." Elijah didn't look up. "Too good to talk, huh? What's your brother teach you?" "That busted car and second-hand tools." This time, Elijah met his eyes. Steady. Calm. Miles blinked. Not used to that. He stood up and, with one swipe, knocked Elijah's tray to the ground. Beans. Milk. Noise. Elijah stood, picked it up, tossed it in the trash, and kept sketching. That quiet made Miles furious. Next week, Miles escalated. No words. Just action. In the lunchroom again, Miles approached and snatched Elijah's sketchbook. But Elijah grabbed the edge fast. Firm. Unmoving. "Let go, bro," Miles said. Elijah didn't. Instead, he said one word. "No." Miles' eyes widened. "What did you say?" "I said no." And when Miles shoved him with both hands, Elijah moved. Just like Malcolm taught him. He didn't swing. He controlled. A pivot. A trap. A shift. Miles hit the floor. Hard. The room froze. Elijah didn't pose. Didn't gloat. He picked up his sketchbook. Walked away. The science teacher, Mr. Furlong, escorted him to the office. Inside, Principal Aldridge, Furlong, and Ms. Lindstrom from the art department waited. The tension was thick. You slammed another student, Furlong said. I moved, Elijah replied quietly. He took my book. Aldridge looked torn. Lindstrom, however, leaned forward. And how many times did we let Miles push this kid before today? There was no answer. Later that day, Andrea Freeman walked into the school still wearing her cafeteria apron. She didn't raise her voice. Didn't posture. She looked Aldridge square in the eye. You know how many messages I left about him being bullied? You know how many you answered? No response. Now that he defended himself, now it matters? She took Elijah by the hand. Come on, baby. We're going home. That night, the video hit social media. No captions. No commentary. Just Elijah moving like water and Miles landing on the tile. The silence that had protected Miles for so long cracked. By the next week, things changed. Quietly. There were no announcements. No assemblies. But the whispers in the hallway turned into conversations. Teachers started talking. Kids started asking, why did it take this long? Why didn't we stop it sooner? Ms. Lindstrom brought it up in a staff meeting. Other parents began calling in. And Elijah? He stayed the same. Still quiet. Still sketching. But now, when he walked down the hall, people moved out of respect. Even Miles kept his head down. A month later, Elijah stood in front of his advisory class. He didn't want to speak. But he did. I used to think being quiet meant I was safe, he said. But I learned sometimes silence helps the wrong people get louder. He showed them a sketch, shadowy bullies in the background. A lone kid in the light. Sometimes you gotta speak without saying much. Sometimes you just have to stand. And people listened. Elijah didn't want fame. He didn't want revenge. He just wanted space. But in taking a stand, he gave others permission to take one too. And that, more than anything, was enough.